Hello and welcome to this teaching idea video on how to teach the formation of tissue fluid at A-level biology using a large model. Right, before starting this, there are a few key things to remember. Make sure that you've got loads and loads of information cards that students can use after, because there's lots to go through, and unless you've got it there in front of you, you run the risk of forgetting different bits. Secondly, make sure that you spread it out over loads of tables, the bigger the better. And thirdly, make sure that you're using lots of bits, because if you decide to use other modelling ideas, lots of the parts will be reusable in other models.
So, when carrying out a modelling activity with students about how tissue fluid forms, just make sure that you build yourself a capillary, you build yourself a layer of body cells, and you build yourself a lymphatic vessel, so a lymph duct, right at the top. Right, because this is one of these areas where there's loads and loads and loads of information that you need to remember and that students need to be able to get down, make sure that you've got plenty of cards and such forth available. In this video, I've only gone and filled out over 2 tables just so we can fit it in without having to move too much. But if I was doing this with a class, I would probably spread all of this out over 4 tables, right, and make it much bigger. Then you can get students to fit round, right? You've already gone and talked about hydrostatic pressure. You can get them to, and you've talked about what arterials are and venules are. Right, it's a good opportunity just for a bit of recap about what these different things are. So make sure that you're asking loads and loads of questions as you go through. Ask students, right, so what needs to move out of the blood? What needs to move into the blood? How is a high hydrostatic pressure at one end going to force water out of the blood? If water is being forced out of the blood, what's it going to take with it? How is a low hydrostatic pressure at the venule end, so the opposite end, going to help water move back into the blood? As it moves back into the blood from the tissue fluid, what's that going to take in with it? Same up at the lymphatic vessel. Question student about, right, so what else needs to be taken away? You can go and, if you've got small white blood cells made, you can almost go and show them moving up and out through the tissue, up all the way from the blood, up into the lymphatic vessel. Right? There's loads and loads of scope for what you can do. Make sure that you've got lots of bits. Make sure that you get it set up well in advance, because this is one of these things that is not a quick 5-minute setup. You'll need a good 10 minutes to make sure that it's set up correctly.
So, now that we've had a look at how to run it, I'm just going to go and show you very, very quickly how it can be used and some of the things that we need to look at when you're using it with students.
So, when making tissue fluid, we need to consider the blood, the physical tissue fluid that we're going to make, and the lymph that we find in the lymphatic vessel. Right, it all starts at the arterial end of the capillary. At the arterial end, the pressure, or the hydrostatic pressure, is relatively high. So the hydrostatic pressure at the arterial end is high. This causes water to move from the blood into the tissue fluid, because in the tissue fluid at the arterial end, the osmotic pressure, so the hydrostatic pressure, is a lot lower. So water moves into the tissue fluid. Right, remember that the tissue fluid is the extracellular fluid that all of your body cells kind of bathes in. It's the fluid that you find, in this case, in between the blood that we've got in our capillary and the body cells. Remember that the capillary is nice and thin. It's only 1 cell thick, so it's got a very, very short diffusion distance for the water to move. Right, once the water has gone and it moves into the tissue fluid, it carries with it oxygen. So oxygen goes and diffuses out with the water that's moving into the tissue fluid, right? The oxygen is then used by the tissue cells in respiration. At the same time, other products of digestion, so fats, glucose, amino acids and such forth, also move out of the blood due to the fact that there's a high hydrostatic pressure in the blood at this end into the tissue fluid, where it can then go and be used by the cells. At the opposite end, the hydrostatic pressure in the blood in the capillary is a lot lower. So because the blood hydrostatic pressure at the venule end is lower, water moves out of the tissue fluid back into the blood. As it's moving out of the tissue fluid into the blood, it's taking the waste products that are made by the tissues. So for instance, carbon dioxide moves back into the blood, and urea and various other waste products. The last bit that I really want to talk about is the lymphatic system up at the top. So the lymphatic system goes and it contains lymph, right? So the lymph contains B cells, and a high level of lymphatic vessels absorb carbon dioxide and other things that are made during cellular reactions in cellular respiration by the tissue, right? The lymphatic ducts run all the way back until they reach the lymph nodes, and they can go and rejoin the blood to get rid of these waste products.
Hopefully this video has given you some ideas how to teach this particular concept. If you've liked this video, please subscribe, like the video. There's links below to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and there's a link below to my shop on test where you can go and get a full copy of this lesson. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions below, and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching and happy teaching.